man, once I go in there, it's all balls to the wall, bro. I mean, I feel the shots, and I know they're gonna hurt, and I know he could take me out at the top and get me the wrong one. But for me, man, I'm game. I go to the end. When I put these on, it's a wrap. Take me on the stretch.
So, but of course, you know, I'm still in tip-top condition, and he's a lot older now. You know, even when we was younger, that would have been a great matchup.
Junior's mistake lied in the reliance to counter game. Instead of counting on a quick knockout, he let Calzaghe catch a rhythm and turn the tide.
It started with a simple offer. Roy Jones Jr., fresh off discussing his recent exhibitions, casually mentioned that he'd be open to facing Floyd Mayweather in the ring, if it made sense. It wasn't a moment of trash talk or a viral soundbite aimed at headlines. But when you're Roy Jones Jr., one of the most electrifying fighters of all time, even a calm suggestion lands like a challenge to AT first. Mayweather responded the way he usually does when business is involved. He acknowledged Roy's legacy, praised him as a legend, and added his trademark line, "If the numbers make sense." That could have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Roy didn't stop there. In follow-up interviews, Jones hinted that boxing had become too safe, a not-so-subtle jab at Mayweather's carefully controlled exhibitions. And just like that, the tone shifted. Fans began replaying clips, dissecting every line, and debating whether Mayweather was brushing Roy off or outright dismissing him. Roy, never one to stay quiet when challenged, fired back with more pointed remarks, making it clear that he wasn't calling Floyd out for money. He was calling him out for pride. Two legends. Two completely different philosophies. And for the first time in years, they weren't letting promoters speak for them. They were taking shots verbally, not physically. And the boxing world noticed. Now, the question isn't just whether they'll fight. It's whether this back and forth just opened the door to the one exhibition nobody thought would ever see.
So speak my opinion. And if somebody was trying to send me a subliminal message, it worked. Because if you want to prove that you're better than me, I'm always ready. Wide open. Ready to go.
Conversation started quietly, almost too quietly, considering how big it would become. During a post-fight media appearance, Roy Jones Jr. was asked about future exhibitions following his well-received bout with Mike Tyson. His answer was simple and measured. He was open to anything that made sense to the fans. And yes, Floyd Mayweather's name was on that list. There was no trash talk, no bold promises. Just Roy being Roy, saying he'd gladly step into the ring with another legend if it meant giving people something they remembered or IT was enough to spark headlines, not because of how Roy said it, but because of who said it. Jones isn't some YouTuber chasing clout or retired fighter trying to cash one last check. Even at 55, he carries the aura of greatness. His highlight reels, his once-in-human reflexes, the way he made prime athletes look like amateurs, all of that still gives weight to any opponent he names. And this time, the name he dropped wasn't just anyone. It was Floyd Mayweather, the undefeated master of control and the man who practically turned exhibitions into a business model. What set Roy's comments apart was his tone. He didn't talk about money or records. He talked about entertainment, legacy, and giving fans something real. That hit differently in a sport where many feel Mayweather's exhibitions have become carefully staged paydays. Fans lit up instantly. Clips of Roy's interview spread rapidly across social media, and just like that, a quiet conversation turned into a loud possibility. Fan-made posters flooded social media timelines, and debate shows couldn't stop asking the same question. Would Floyd finally step in with someone who could make him whack, even in an exhibition? While Roy's challenge was respectful, it was also pointed. He knows Mayweather's reputation for controlling every variable, rounds, rules, and even the pace of a fight. By offering himself as an opponent, Roy was testing whether Floyd's exhibitions were truly for the fans or just for Floyd himself. Mayweather didn't respond with words, at least not right away. Instead, he did something quintessentially Mayweather. He posted a video to his Instagram story showing clips of Roy Jones Jr.'s knockout losses. No caption, no direct response, just a shot of Floyd watching the footage from behind, with Roy repeatedly hitting the canvas. A silent message that spoke louder than any quote. To his supporters, it was vintage Floyd, brushing off the idea without needing to say a word. To his critics, it felt like a dodge, a way to dismiss Roy without addressing the real question. Still, that silence didn't last long. Floyd would eventually speak, but, as always, on his own terms and with the same cold calculation that has defined his entire career.
He's really been hurt. He's gone down before one time, but there was a perfect left hand. Roy never saw it coming. Roy is out.
Floyd Mayweather didn't jump on Roy Jones Jr. as often the way other fighters might have. There was no Instagram post, no instant press conference, no verbal sparring to grab headlines. Instead, Floyd stuck to his usual playbook, measured words delivered at a media event for one of his TMT promotions, where he was inevitably asked about Jones's comments. His response was classic Mayweather, respectful, non-committal, and strategically vague. He called Roy a legend, acknowledged his accomplishments, and said he had nothing but respect for everything Jones has done for the sport. But when pressed on whether he considered facing Roy in an exhibition, Floyd kept it simple. He's always open to entertaining fights if the business makes sense. Those words may seem harmless, but to boxing fans, they said everything. If the business makes sense has become Floyd's trademark filter for choosing opponents, both during his professional career and in his exhibition run. It's the line he uses to keep doors open without actually stepping through them. For his supporters, it's a smart move. Floyd built his empire by never taking unnecessary risks. But for critics, it sounded like a polite dodge, a way of saying probably not without committing either way. What made Floyd's response interesting wasn't what he said, but what he didn't. He didn't dismiss Roy outright, which is unusual for him when asked about potential opponents he doesn't control. Normally, he brushes off such suggestions immediately, especially when they involve fighters who could pose even the slightest threat to his carefully maintained narrative. But with Roy, Floyd left just enough room for speculation, enough for fans to wonder if he might be calculating something behind the scenes. And that's how Mayweather operates. Every word, every pause is deliberate. By refusing to shut the door completely, Floyd kept the conversation alive, letting fans and media do the work of hyping the possibility for him that has built an entire post-retirement career on controlling narratives like this, and this moment was no different. Still, even with the respect in his tone, the subtext was clear. If Roy wanted Floyd in the ring, he'd have to agree to Floyd's rules, limited rounds, controlled pace, no judging, and no official winner. Because for Floyd, exhibitions aren't about competition. They're about business. Roy Jones Jr., however, doesn't thrive under control. And that's where the tension began to build.
Is there something that you want to elaborate on, or is there something that maybe you don't like about people?
One thing I don't like is that you don't expect help. Talk about Muhammad Ali got beat by 8-0 fighter. The 8-0 fighter was momentum. Who was a monster. Who you had a monster like that in your weight class, you wouldn't fight him. Understand where I'm coming from?
Roy Jones Jr. didn't take long to respond, and while his words were polite, they carried an undertone that fans immediately picked up on. Speaking briefly to reporters after a local boxing event, Roy called Floyd one of the smartest businessmen the sport has ever seen. But what followed sounded more like a challenge than a compliment. He said, if the two were to share a ring, it should be a real fight, not an exhibition. That one line shifted the entire tone. Roy didn't accuse Floyd of ducking, nor did he make any demands outright, but he made it clear he wasn't interested in a typical Mayweather exhibition. No soft rounds, no vague scoring, no carefully controlled rules designed to eliminate all risk. Roy has always been a fighter first and a businessman second, and his response reminded everyone of that. He emphasized that exhibitions can still carry meaning if approached the right way, pointing to his 2020 bout with Mike Tyson as proof. That fight wasn't a war, but it was competitive. Both men landed real shots, moved with intent, and looked like they still wanted to win. To Roy, that's what makes a fight worth doing, even if it doesn't count on paper. The contrast between the two men's philosophies couldn't have been clearer. Floyd prioritizes control. Every rule, every dollar, every angle carefully managed to protect both his legacy and his health. Roy, even at his age, still talks like a fighter who craves the unpredictability, the risk, and the chance to give fans something authentic. And while Roy didn't call Floyd out directly, the implication was loud and clear. If Floyd wanted this to happen, he'd have to meet him somewhere in the middle. That's what made this exchange feel different from Floyd's usual post-retirement rumors. Most fighters are happy to play by his rules just for the privilege of sharing the ring. But Roy's comments hinted that he wouldn't. He's too proud, too competitive, and too conscious of his own legacy to treat this as just another cash grab. Fans picked up on the tension instantly. Social media lit up with quotes from Roy's interview, many calling it the most polite way to call Mayweather out. Others simply admired the honesty, pointing out that Roy was saying what many believe. The fight would only matter if it felt real. The back and forth wasn't loud or disrespectful. But for boxing fans, it already felt like the first round had been fought verbally.
They go for the embrace. Referee Chuck Cortez is not there. That's hook, right hand.
The moment Roy Jones Jr. dropped his "Just Call Me" line, the boxing world exploded. Social media became a battleground, not over whether the fight should happen, but over what it represented. To many, Roy's words felt like a subtle jab at Floyd Mayweather's entire post-retirement career, a reminder that while Floyd has perfected the art of turning exhibitions into business, fans are still hungry for fights that feel real. Within hours, hashtags like #FloydVSRoy started trending. Fan-made posters flooded timelines, spreading faster than official promos for active title bouts. On Twitter, the community split into two camps. The pro-Roy side applauded his willingness to challenge Floyd's formula. They posted clips of his exhibition with Mike Tyson as proof that legend could still deliver something competitive, without reducing it to glorified sparring. One viral comment read, "Roy gave us more in one round with Tyson than Floyd's given in all his exhibitions combined." Meanwhile, Mayweather loyalists pushed back. To them, Roy was poking at a man who had nothing left to prove. Floyd had earned the right to pick safe fights. They argued, why risk it at 48? One post read, "Floyd's exhibitions are about legacy, not danger. He's earned the soft gloves." YouTube channels quickly jumped on the frenzy, dissecting every second of Roy's interview frame by frame. Some questioned whether Floyd's silence was part of a larger marketing strategy. Others accused Roy of playing chess, delivering a calculated, polite checkmate that cornered Mayweather into either accepting the challenge or appearing to dodge it. Whether fans sided with Roy or Floyd, one thing was undeniable. The exchange had already become a spectacle. And for two legends who've long since mastered the art of staying relevant, the debate alone was nearly as valuable as the fight itself.
What's up, Fight Hype? I'm here with my boy, Jack Mayweather, looking good and healthy. How you feeling, Jack? I'm all right. Everything good? Man, Roy Jones wants to fight Floyd. What's going on with Roy? I mean, it's just one of those things where, you have fighters. You have great fighters that talking about one another. Then ego.
For all the noise, one simple question kept surfacing among boxing fans. Does this back and forth actually bring Floyd Mayweather and Roy Jones Jr. any closer to stepping into the ring together? The answer isn't straightforward, but insiders suggest the tension may have increased the odds more than anyone originally thought. According to reports, promoters have quietly started gauging interest in the matchup ever since Roy's comments. One unnamed source close to Mayweather's TMT camp said they are monitoring the numbers, a phrase that, in Floyd speak, means is watching engagement, social media traction, and overall fan buzz before making a move. If the hype continues to grow, that alone could be enough to spark real negotiations. Because for Floyd, a fight has always been about momentum and money just as much as boxing. Roy's approach may have been calculated with that exact formula in mind. By framing his offer as for the fans rather than a direct challenge to Floyd's legacy, he avoided triggering Floyd's typical defensiveness. Yet he still built public pressure. Multiple analysts pointed out that Roy knows how to sell a fight without diving into trash talk, a tactic that gives Floyd room to say yes without looking like he got baited. Still, there are significant obstacles. Floyd has always selected opponents, especially in exhibitions, who pose minimal physical risk. Roy Jones Jr. is not that kind of opponent. Even at his age, Roy's footwork, timing, and unpredictable style make him dangerous, especially in a format that isn't tightly controlled. For Floyd to say yes, the rules would almost certainly need to favor him. Shorter rounds, no official judging, a slower pace. Exactly the kind of blueprint his exhibitions are known for. Whether Roy would accept those terms remains unclear so far. Neither side has confirmed active negotiations, but both have benefited from the buzz. Roy's name is back in headlines, reminding fans of his legendary resume. Floyd, as always, remains the centerpiece of speculation. According to insiders, if this momentum holds through the next month, and if pay-per-view partners express serious interest, a late 2025 exhibition could become a realistic possibility. For now, it's a waiting game. Floyd holds all the leverage, and he knows it. But if history has taught us anything, it's this: Mayweather never ignores a spectacle when the money and attention are too big to walk away from. What's more, the excitement isn't just coming from fans scrolling highlight reels or posting fantasy posters. Boxing legends and active fighters have started chiming in, adding even more heat to a conversation already dominating the sport's headlines. What began as a casual comment from Roy has turned into a full-scale debate among some of boxing's most respected voices. And their reactions speak volumes. Some, especially former champions turned commentators, are genuinely excited. They are calling it the rare kind of exhibition that might actually feel worth paying for. A true clash of legends, not another carefully scripted performance. They argue that even in his 50s, Roy still brings a level of timing, reflex, and ring IQ that could challenge Floyd in ways his previous opponents never did. Because in a ring with no stakes, Roy still fights like everything is on the line.